Well, hello, 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 Las Vegas. It's Monique Buchanan, the host of the Welcome Home with Monique show. And today I have yet another amazing show for you. Listen, if you guys have been tuned in the last couple weeks, I've had my colleagues in Pahrump come on the show, talk about their market. Listen, I love Las Vegas, but hey, there's other options out there. Maybe you want a vacation home. I don't know, So listen, if you are thinking about moving in any of the 50 states, in fact, my company is in 18 countries. You guys have heard me talk about this before. I just closed the house, 2 weeks ago for a gentleman, one of our KUMB listeners that wanted to buy in Florida. So today's show, I have our neighbors. They're going to come on, the beautiful Utah state. In fact, I've got my lender partner, Mr. Chantry Abbott. Mr. Chantry, how are you?
I'm awesome. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. And so Chantry is going to talk a little bit about the Utah market. He is specifically in St. George, one of my favorite places to go. Me and my husband love to go up there and go fishing, so we're always going to like Gunlot or, Duck Creek, all that. It's gorgeous up there. And a lot of people like to live in Utah, either as a vacation home or even live and just commute, So, Chantry, can you tell us a little bit about that market up there, St. George? Like, what's your medium home price? Or, what do you guys have going on up there?
Yeah, so specifically in St. George, so we are a large vacation community, and a lot of the town is intended for that. We get all the people heading south. We catch all the people in Salt Lake before they hit Vegas. So if you haven't been here, it's a lot of national parks and golf courses and mountain bike trails and all those kinds of things. So there's a lot of opportunity for nightly and weekly rentals. In fact, I'm going to ask you a question. What are the restrictions for short-term rentals in Las Vegas?
I'm glad you asked. I've said this many times. People do not realize that Las Vegas, actually, Airbnb is actually illegal in Las Vegas, except for there's about 5 or 6 high-rises that allow it. I sell them all the time. One of them is Palms Place. The other one's Trump Towers. There's some other ones. But you're right, Chantry, it's illegal in Las Vegas to do Airbnb. And I always tell my clients, listen, they're putting some things in place right now where they're going to require like a business license and things like that, but we're not quite there yet. Of course, people are still doing Airbnb, but they're doing it at their own risk. Anyways, they're going to crack down on that once they do get these laws in place. So it's nice to know that we can come to, Utah, where you have all, these national parks, so much attraction, and do it legally.
Yeah. So for us here, it's a zoning regulation. So you can't just buy a house in a neighborhood and do it on a short-term rental or an Airbnb. It's got to be in a zoned area, which is typically like we have dozens of, like literally probably a few dozen resort, condo, or townhome communities that are surrounded with really cool amenities like great pools and slides for the kids and next to golf courses and stuff like that they're intended to be the Airbnb. So hardly anybody in them actually lives in them full time. They use them as vacation homes. And then when they're not using them, they can put them on Airbnb and rent them out short term. So that's a really big part of our market. And it's typically, we call them snowbirds because they're coming south from Salt Lake or Idaho, and we're the first warm place. We're the first golf course that's open year round kind of a thing. So there's a lot of that going on. The other thing about St. George is you talk about median home price. Our median home price is about $500,000.
Wow, yeah, it's come up quite a bit in the last couple of years.
Sure has, yep, sure has. We are seeing though some first-time home buyers are buying. There's some newly built standalone townhomes and things like that in the mid 300 range. So if you're a first-time home buyer, you probably, you can get things less than this, but you probably need to be qualified somewhere close to 350,000 to really be able to have some options. I do have a gal that just went under contract a couple days ago. She's super excited. It's just her and her 1-year-old boy, and she's buying a 2-bed, 1-bath. It's about 1,000 square foot little townhome. It's been totally remodeled, super cute, and she's under contract for $225, and it's really great inside. And so that's
really great. And that's in St. George. So that's beautiful.
Yep. That's right, downtown St. George. Yep.
And guys, if you're just tuning in, this is Monique Buchanan, and I've got one of my lender partners up there in St. George, Utah, Mr. Chantry. He's on right now going over the St. George market, different loans that you can get. In fact, me and him both are in St. George right now. So if we're coming over a little staticky, we apologize, but we're calling in because I had some business up here to take care of. So if you're just tuning in, once again, we are going over the St. George market. And right now, I wanted you to kind of hit on what you talked about in the class. I just did a class up here in St. George, and Chantry was going over a first-time homebuyers program that is unique to Utah. Can you talk a little bit about that program?
Yeah, so we're super lucky. In fact, loan officers that haven't originated business or real estate agents that haven't done business outside of Utah don't realize that we have a super unique program called Utah Housing. So Utah Housing has been around since about 1975, and it's an agency developed, and they get some government assistance, and there's some self-sustained income too. But they're really designed to help that lower income, first-time home buyer get into a home with zero down payment. So they piggyback.
When you say lower income, what does that look like? Sorry. What is lower income?
They have different tiers, but there are some tiers where you could make as much, and this isn't low income, but you could make as much as $120,000 a year and still be able to get in with zero money down.
Wow, that's amazing.
And most of them are less than that. So that's really cool because they keep it open to a lot of people.
Right.
They're trying to just house people that haven't saved up for that down payment yet. You know, maybe you have pretty good income, but you're brand new out of school and you've got some student loans and some debts to pay off, but it's time to start your family and buy a house. They're really a great option. So normally you've got to put, in most cases, 3 to 3.5% down. And what they do is they piggyback off of that, and they give you a really nice interest rate, fixed rate, second mortgage to cover what your normal down payment would be, and they'll even cover some of your closing costs. And
so
I've been doing this mortgage for 15 years.
Right. So just real quick, I want to give them an idea. So, for instance, he said that the medium home price was around $500, but we'll just do $450,000. If you did not use this program, you would be looking at about $15,000 for your down payment on your home. But this program will take care of that completely for them. Is that correct?
That's right.
That's amazing. And what is the credit score needed for that program?
Yeah, so they've actually and that's part of what I was saying in the class, is they've actually, as the market has slowed down a little bit, they've actually improved their program because they have the capacity to serve more customers, more borrowers. And so they've improved the program to get more people in. And they've reduced their credit score from a 660 is what the minimum standard used to be, and now you can get down to a 620. So they'll service up to a 620.
That's amazing. They dropped way down to 620. That's awesome. So if you live currently in the Utah state of Utah, you can reach out to Chantry, and that's, by contacting me at 702-984-3700. Again, my number is 702-984-3700. So if you're listening and you're thinking, my goodness, my daughters live up there, I need them to get into a home. Guess what? We can assist you. Okay, this is my colleague, Mr. Chantry. He's right there in St. George, Utah. A lot of you guys have loved ones that live out that way. We are here to assist. www.welcomehomewithmonique.com is my website. My phone number, once again, is 702-984-3700. And don't worry if for some reason you didn't catch the whole show. It will be uploaded onto my YouTube channel next week. You can jump on and check it out. So, Chantry, that's amazing. That sounds like a really good program. Now, how many years on the job do they have to qualify? If they've got the 620 credit score, what else do they need to qualify for their down payment to be paid in the St. George, Utah area?
Yeah, so good question about time on the job. So to get a mortgage, we have to have a 2-year employment history. Now, if you haven't been working for a long time, you may have to be back in the workforce for 6 months. But that 2 years doesn't have to be consecutive. So you don't have to have been steadily working for the past 2 years. Like I've had, let's say, moms that had a baby and they took a few years off of work until the kid was old enough to go to school, and now they've been back in the workforce for 6 months. But I go far enough back and I've got 2 years of history. They don't have to be 2 years consistent. If you have had what we call a large gap, or it's been a long time since you've worked, then you may have to be back for 6 months. But I have people that are brand new on their current job. As long as your income's not variable, or an invariable, we're thinking in terms of like if a big part of your income's commission or bonuses or overtime, then you may have to have some length. But let's say somebody's got a fairly new job, they've been working, took on a new job, they're working full-time hours or a salary or something that's very consistent. We could do a loan for them pretty much right away, and in most cases we'll close their loan with one pay stub.
That's awesome. So I was going to say people that were off for COVID, you could do the same.
Yeah. So let's say that you're out for a couple of years, but you're back in the workforce now and you were working before that, you'd be totally okay.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you used it. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to touch on one thing that you said that I thought was really cool. Is you talked about if the parents are listening and they've got kids or loved ones in Utah. So I've seen parents, and this zero down program allows a parent to co-sign.
Oh, good.
We've had parents. In fact, I literally have had parents from Las Vegas have their kids coming to college here. It's now called Utah Tech University here in St. George.
Right.
The kids don't really have the income yet, but maybe they're 20 years old and they've got a little credit, or even 18 or 19, and they've had some credit for the last year or so. Parents can co-sign to buy them a house. Parents using all of parents' income, even though the kids aren't working, maybe they're just going to school full time. And they buy them a house to live in while they go to school, and then they can rent all the other rooms out to roommates and pay for their house payment. We've seen that happen time and time again.
That is a great house hack. I love that. And now the child is making equity on his property. By the time he graduates college, he could stand to make, even up to $100,000 or more just off the equity while he was in college. Not to mention free rent or free mortgage.
Rooms here, like let's say a college student that's just going to rent kind of an average room in a home or a townhome, are going for probably about $750 a month.
Right.
So if you think you go buy your kid a 4-bedroom house and they live in one of them, they rent the other 3, now you're talking about earning about $2,250 a month in rent. You might be coming pretty close to paying that whole mortgage payment, depending on what the house costs.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's a great way to do things, especially if your child is about to go to college here at UTech. That's awesome.
Yeah,
so if you're just tuning in again, guys.
My parents regret not doing it. They wish they would have. They almost pulled the trigger on doing it for me. So I moved to St. George in 2003 to go to, it was Dixie College, now Utah Tech. Right. And there was this little townhome that was a 3-bed, 2-bath. I remember it vividly because they were going to do it, and then they kind of got gun shy, and it was $75,000 townhome.
Oh, no.
That townhome today is worth about $350,000.
Oh, my goodness. And they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, they talked about it for years, wishing they would have done it.
Oh, my. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because that's going to bring us to our next topic. But if you're just tuning in, once again, 702-984-3700. If any of this interests you or you want to talk to Mr. Chantry, 702-984-3700. I will get you with my lender colleague up there in St. George, Utah. He will walk you through this whole process and get you going, okay? So real quick, let's go on into that. Now let's talk about today's market. You've got a lot of people, and I'm always, talking about this, sitting on their hands, Chantry. They're like, nope, we're going to wait for these rates to go down. For one, why wait for everybody else to jump into the pool? What are your thoughts on when the rates go down, what happens, Chantry? The prices go up, right?
Yeah, and the truth is here in our market, and I would assume you're about the same, we really don't have too many homes for sale. We actually wish there were maybe a few more options. And if interest rates, let's say interest rates are 6.5% today, that's kind of the average. If interest rates were even 5.5%, unfortunately, I don't think most people would be able to get their offers accepted. It'd be a bidding war again. It'd be multiple offers. And like you said, they'd be paying more for the house.
Yeah,
people absolutely like to do what other people do, right? So it's like you want to wait because you feel like now's not the time. But you and I both have enough experience that we know there's going to be a day that everyone goes, I wish I would have bought the summer of 2023 because I would have got it for this. And now these rates come down and here's where rates are and here's where home prices went up 10%. So I'm going to give you and your listeners a little bit of a math thought here is, as a rule of thumb, for every 1% change in mortgage interest rates, that is equivalent to about a 10% change in home prices. So 1% change in mortgage rates, 10% in home prices. So if interest rates went from 6.5 to 5.5, then home prices could go up 10% and you'd still have the same house payment, but you don't have the same amount of equity.
Yeah. They think, so in other words, they think they're saving some money, but you're really not. That's the point, right? You're not getting the equity that you would.
Where the best strategy, truthfully, is get in right now while everybody's sitting on the sidelines, because the other thing too is we can negotiate really well right now. Like we're getting sellers to fix all the things in a home. We're getting sellers to buy down interest rate. We're getting sellers to pay closing costs. All that stuff that hasn't been available for 2 years.
For years, absolutely. It's been a while. In Vegas, I tell people it's been about 7 years since I was able to get closing costs from a seller. Yeah. Our market was serious, like super strong. You weren't getting that. So you're absolutely right. Right now, we know that we're negotiating deals that we haven't seen come across the table in years. So don't wait. Don't sit on your hands, because that is going to end up, costing you. What I say is this, Chantry, let me get you a good deal now. And if and when the rates do drop, guess what? Now you got a really good deal and you got a lower rate.
Yeah, that's the way to win in both areas. And
I feel like that's the most advantageous way.
Like us, our lending company, what we do is when we do a loan, we keep most of the loans that we do, and we do a no lender fee refinance anyway. We just want to keep them in our pipeline, and if they're happy with their mortgage, they'll keep paying it to us. And so most people, you really won't be out very much, and it's usually an easier process to refinance than buy the home.
Right.
So that's really the way to win on both fronts. You're absolutely right.
There you go. Win on both fronts. Don't, wait for everybody to jump into the pool because it's just not. Right. Yeah, it's not. You're going to be, So like you said, my parents wish they would have bought that house. You don't want to end up saying that. Like you said, I wish I would have bought that house in 2023. And now, the homes have went up so much that I can't even afford to buy anymore, because I tell everybody it's like we're becoming little LA. But St. George has some beautiful homes up there. If you're an outdoorsy person, there's no better place to be. You can jump to Vegas within, an hour and a half, and you're right here in Vegas, So I'm from originally Seattle, and I tell everybody, St. George is like my little Seattle. I can jump over to St. George when I need my fix of beautiful trees, grass, squirrels, lakes, hiking. Am I right, Chantry?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in fact, most people come here to do a vacation, and then they either decide they want to move here or they decide that they want to buy a vacation home here. That's literally a large majority of our clients.
Yeah, so if any of this interests you, you can always reach out once again, 702-984-3700, welcomehomewithmonique.com. And you can check my show out on YouTube. It's Welcome Home with Monique as well. Chantry, that was some great information for our first-time home buyers, and just to give, my Las Vegas listeners a general idea of your beautiful town. But let's pivot a bit, and let's talk about what brings most people, like you just said, to St. George, which is the vacation homes. What does that look like if I am in Las Vegas and I would like to purchase, I like to fish, like my husband, he loves to fish. He wants to buy a vacation home in St. George. How does that look like? What is that process?
Yeah, so there's a couple things to consider when buying a vacation home. So the coolest thing about buying a vacation home is if you buy it in an area that allows the Airbnb, or actually what the real rule is short-term rentals. And we in Washington County here, where St. George is, define a short-term rental as anything less than 30 days. So if you buy in one of the communities that allows for the short-term or Airbnb rental properties, then you can kind of get yourself your vacation home, but it's also kind of a quasi-investment property because you can rent it when you're not using it. So I think that's why they've become so popular, is because the boom of Airbnb and VRBO, it's so easy to rent these. Those systems kind of calendar it out for you, and you really almost just have to have a good cleaner, and it's doable to manage. And there's quite a few options. We have places from a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, probably in the under 200,000 range, but it has really nice amenities like a couple of really nice pools, pickleball courts, stuff like that. Up to $2 million properties that have their own pool in the backyard, pickleball court in the backyard, and it's made for 2 or 3 families to come vacation to. So, I mean,
that's amazing.
It's spread through whatever you're looking for.
Right.
And you
I
can
love
buy
that.
them. Yeah, and there are some
and have Airbnb pay it off for you.
properties with as little as 10% down.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I was going to say. So it's 10% down for the vacation home. And like you said, that's amazing. You can have the tenants that stay week to week or day to day pay off your investment. And then what you do is you just don't book it. If you're planning on going up there, you just don't book it and take advantage of your vacation home. The same kind of, the same way I tell people about the high-rise opportunities in Vegas, where you are legally allowed to Airbnb. They even have third parties that will assist you in renting them out if you want to go that route. But like you just said, really all you need in today's market is a really good, cleaner to come through. They have the little keypads where you can let people in and out via your phone, right? So you don't have to be there. It's very simple. It's not as hard as people think, right?
No, it's not. And the thing to think about, too, is people are always really nervous about having a whole bunch of people in and out of their home. And that, of course, does add a little bit of wear and tear. But I will say most of the people that have the money and can afford to rent your nice second home vacation home for the weekend for their family, they're usually a little bit more of a high income, good people. It's not like we're talking about low-end tenants that are having a hard time pay the bills, and you're never chasing down rents. They have to pay for it in advance to even book it.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So that's really a good point to be made, is that you can have your vacation home paid off, like you said, by the tenants if you want to go that route. You don't have to, but I think it's a great idea to do Airbnb. But if you are finicky about having people in your vacation home, then we're not saying you have to. We're just giving you the layout. In other words, the 10% down. And you said they go all the way up to $2 million. What other amenities do those properties have? The $2 million that you've seen?
Yeah, so like one of the resorts here, like it literally has like a mini water park that you have access to. It has a couple different hot tubs. I don't know if in Vegas it's so big, but pickleball is such a big thing here that almost everybody's putting in pickleball courts. Some of the really big luxury homes have their own private pickleball court, and then the other ones, some of them will just have a community pickleball court. That's a big deal. A lot of them are kind of in the outskirting areas of town because they're not where families are living, right? They're in their own little community. So a lot of them are really close to mountain bike trails too. So a lot of times you could own an Airbnb property that you could Airbnb and literally ride your mountain bike from the garage to the trail.
That's awesome.
That's a big one here. Yeah.
Another thing is you guys have beautiful Mount Zion. You've got so many attractions here because people think, well, who would be going there? A lot of people come to St. George. There's so many, like you said, attractions here, so many lakes, so much to do outdoorsy, that, a lot of people do come from all over the country to come to St. George and just, enjoy those outdoor attractions. So there's plenty of attraction here. I know even for myself, we would love to go ahead and get a vacation home. We were looking in Georgia, but now listening to you, we might have to get a vacation home here with you, Chantry.
Come join us. We'd love to see you.
Yes, well, we appreciate you coming on today, Chantry. Like I said, if anybody wants to get a hold of Chantry, you can reach out to me, 702-984-3700. I will get you with him and his team, and we will get you going if you're interested in purchasing a home or a vacation home in the St. George, Utah area. You have been a wealth of knowledge. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for being a part of my networking team, Chantry. And if hopefully you'll come on again.
I'd love to. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody. Have an amazing weekend. And until I hear from you, have a blessed day.